Hello, everyone. Augmented reality is always a really popular topic at News Tech Forum, so I'm happy to be here with Ruben Ruiz, who is Executive Vice President of Sales for the US and Canada at Brainstorm. We're going to be talking about the democratization of augmented reality, 3D graphics, and virtual production, and about how journalists don't have to lose these three tools when they're working at home or in remote locations. We're also going to be talking about a pilot project that Brainstorm produced with Google News Initiative this year that helps even small broadcasters produce AR, 3D graphics, and virtual productions while working from remote locations or at home. Welcome, Ruben.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for having me.
So, Ruben, I wanted to start by asking you about this idea of democratizing AR, 3D graphics, virtual production. What's happening there?
Well, Kathy, when we speak of democratization of AR and 3D graphics, we're really talking about a revolution of sorts that starts with consumer demand for content shifting dramatically from traditional to digital. That means the availability of devices such as smartphones, tablets, smart TVs, even in your home, and creating the over-the-top television experience and digital platforms for content delivery and consumption. What's tricky about this is how the creative and the delivery tools must now become available to users like journalists and people in the content community. The more mass the user, obviously, the more simple the requirement for the tool set. For Brainstorm, our origin of 25 years in this space with creatives delivering 3D graphics and virtual sets and virtual production to the industry. And the software tools were really designed by users for users. So the tools and the evolution of the product from eStudio in the earlier days, still being used today, to Infinity Set, and our recent announcement of Edison as we were creating an experience user base, but we are also keeping in mind that the ease of use and the implementation is really critical. So we continue that tradition as we move forward with solutions development, and we see an ever increasing demand for simplicity by the masses of journalists and other content creators out there. And an obvious thing is we've seen the pandemic accelerate this exponentially.
We've heard that a lot this year at TVNewsCheck, Ruben, that the pandemic is just causing journalists to need much simpler tools. So Brainstorm helped broadcasters produce AR, 3D graphics, and virtual production this year at home when they're in their at-home studios. How did you do that?
Well, what's interesting, Kathy, is it's not just the news community. It spans content creators and really any organization that's out there that's trying to convey a message to their audience, like News Tech Forum, like this one, for example. So many of the broadcast customers you'll see here, and we'll see playing here, are bringing in talent and actors from their home studios, as our Infinity software, makes it easier to composite all of these folks that are scattered everywhere. It allows for really high value production without compromising the quality, which is really important. So we're talking about creating a workflow with some of the basic tools that we're very familiar with. A camera, for example. We've seen a record number of cameras sold globally. PTZ cameras, webcams. My sources in the industry tell me that they can't keep the stock. It's turned dramatically. So to better enhance the quality, so that's the first part. So the camera. The second part is a green screen with a fairly lit studio from an office or from a home environment. And then the third part of this whole thing is really either a wireless or a wired connection, where you're connecting to Ethernet for signal transport. And then the final piece of this, so those are the three components. The final piece of this is the software, which is really critical to allowing anything from a virtual environment, like 3D objects that are really highly engaging, which is part of what we're trying to do here. And so we're having the masses sort of availability, we're having availability to the masses with all of these tools. When it comes down to it, it's really just about engaging the audience. And it can't just be teleconferencing. I mean, it can't be just Zoom, right? And so again, the pandemic has sped up the adoption of at-home studios and virtual production.
It's interesting, you're kind of teleporting reporters or talent into a studio. I had never, you think of virtual reality as changing what's going on behind you, but not always teleporting somebody in. So that's really interesting. So
yeah.
Given that remote production is very likely to stay here now for many journalists, are you having to create new tools or options for at-home studios?
Well, it's funny because we're responding to the demand of the marketplace. And in many ways, we've been driving this over the couple of decades or 25 years we've been in existence. We have a beta version of a product called Edison. That's a really easy to use tool that allows for a single user, to deliver a broadcast quality presentation. So in your drag and drop format that everyone's familiar with, you bring in a virtual background, you bring in 3D elements, you bring in your PowerPoint or slides, right? There's video clips, there's other things that you use, and you sort of bring it all together, and then you stream it out. So we're kind of enabling the user, and we're using all the tools that we've developed over the course of the last 25 plus years to make that happen.
Interesting. So Brainstorm partnered with Google News Initiative on a pilot project in Spain. Tell us about that.
Well, this is an exciting project. First, I'm just proud to say that we're working with the Google News Initiative. GNI is a Google fund that promotes R&D and that promotes an R&D mindset for innovation in media technology. Something that's very near and dear to Brainstorm, as well as we have a long history of supporting R&D projects that are focused on socially responsible centric causes. And we'll see this shown here in this video as part of the program. We've created 3 videos. This is the second of 3. And the mission really is to enable both startup and legacy news organizations and their journalists to stay pure in their objective for journalism and reporting. That's really the bottom line goal for the GNI Fund. We're then creating the opportunity for the digital broadcasters to create new models in this emerging world, because it is a changing world. The revolution I speak of has forced these broadcasters, these media companies to make changes. So Brainstorm's pilot with the DNI is focused on really empowering the journalists and so that their message can remain relevant is the big one. And now with our AR tools, making it easier for them to be able to create, we are enabling that entire cost. So Teleporter is the product, and it's really an interesting product. What it does is it's going to create compelling and immersive visual news content through augmented reality tools. So reporters will appear in situ, so that we're basically placing reporters together with interviewees, regardless of their physical location. And by teleporting the journalists, the participants into like sort of an AR environment, viewers have access to rich visual news. And that's really the big goal of this. The teleporter technology will be affordable, which is the other part of this, is to make to democratize the tools and make them available to reporters. And so enabling smaller broadcasters and with lower cost base, because budgets have been under under tight scrutiny over the course of the last, not just year, over the last decade. So again, going back to what are the needs for journalists, it's a camera, it's a good connection, wireless or wired, and then the teleporter streaming app. What that does is that it sends captured video to OTT and then to a studio or to a social media destination. The other thing is we're also optimizing our algorithms to improve the quality without the need of a green screen, which is really cool. So we're really excited about this project. The project is still ongoing and will be wrapped up in February. So we'll be happy to report more when it's done.
Aha, so sometime next year I could buy it.
That's correct. Unless you want to be a beta tester, Kathy.
So we're very close to out of time, Ruben. Just give us just final thoughts very briefly about advancements you see next year for graphics, 3D graphics, AR, virtual production.
Well,
what's other than this
Kathy,
GN, which is very cool.
The big deal here is that we are, this technology frontier that's been evolving and the revolution we've seen, the frontier moves out, which means that it enables hundreds of thousands, I would say millions of individuals and studios to exponentially improve the reach and the production value of the message that they're delivering. So my take, and anyone in the industry can vouch for this, is that the revolution continues and it goes forward, but at even a faster, accelerated pace.
Well, that's a great place to wrap up. Ruben, thank you. We're out of time. I want to thank you again, Ruben Ruiz, EVP of Sales for the US and Canada at Brainstorm. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Kathy. It's been a pleasure.